Hello, guys. My name is Audrey Rumbers. Most people know me as the creator of Audranite Pyramids, and I create my pyramids for positive. Yeah. I'm sorry, I hear someone is.
If while Audrey's speaking, unless you have a question, can everyone please mute your phones, or if she asks for a response, then you can unmute at that time. Thank you.
I think that's Ari. Ari, are you muted? Ari,
yes.
Mute your mic.
Well, if she's on the phone, I can call back.
Okay. Okay, I think he has.
All right.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, my name is Audrey Rumbers. I am the creator of Audranite Pyramids. I create my pyramids for positive energy. If most people know about Orgonite, and the difference between my pyramids and Orgonite pyramids is one element, and that is fiber optics. I use fiber optics in all of my pyramids, and you will know my pyramids by the glowing green light at the top of each pyramid. If it doesn't have a glowing green light at the top, it is not one of my pyramids. And I use fiber optics in order to carry the energy of the rose quartz crystal throughout your environment, which creates puts out more positive energy, and it also negates negative energy. So it's just like a positive energy device that's always on. In addition to creating Audranite Pyramids, another part of my life that led me to my pyramids, creating my pyramids, was my work at Wayne State University. I worked at Wayne State for 26 years, almost 20 of those years, maybe about 15 years. I worked in the physics department. And during that time, I worked on the largest quantum physics experiment research that they're doing at CERN with the Large Hadron Collider. And my part in that was helping to build the ALICE research collider, which is one of 4 major colliders that they built at CERN that make up the Large Hadron Collider. And basically my work at Wayne State, I really don't talk about it that much because I kind of want to focus on the positive energy aspects of quantum physics. But as time has gone on, people are starting to really understand what's going on at CERN, or trying to understand anyway, what they're doing there, because what I found out was that the research that we was doing is just absolutely mind-blowing. It turns your brain inside out, because it's nothing like what you've always thought things were to be. And for me, it changed my whole life. It changed the way I saw myself. It changed the way I saw everything else. I recognized that we're all connected, and you know, things of that nature. Now, as for my part on the project, I worked for a man named Thomas Cormier. And Dr. Cormier was in charge of all of the US institutions that were involved in ALICE. So basically, he was the principal investigator for all of the research. He was in charge of all of the different, you know, various institutions, whether it was Yale University, Michigan State University, national labs down in Tennessee, all over the country. So many different institutions were involved in this research. Now, this research that they're doing now, people are starting to become aware of what we were doing. So what I want to do is kind of give you a background to what the LHC is, what CERN is, because people kind of get it confused. They'll say that CERN is doing something, but CERN is actually the place where the research is taking place. CERN is the place where they built this large machine, but CERN was already CERN before the Large Hadron Collider. CERN is where the internet was developed. So you can imagine the type of science they're doing when they develop the internet, and you look at how the internet has taken over our lives. Well, the research they're doing at CERN now at the Large Hadron Collider, it's going to have that same type of effect on our lives. It's going to be what they call disruptive technology. That's what we're dealing with right now, is a lot of disruptive technology that basically is what it says. It disrupts your entire life, the way that you do things. Because if we think back, what, 20 years ago, we're living in a whole new world. We live in a whole different way. And it's all because of one invention of technology, and that was the internet. So now we're coming across, now we're getting into quantum physics, quantum mechanics. And that's a whole nother world. And that's what we're going to talk about, how all of these things are related as far as CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, quantum computers, parallel universes, black holes, all of these things are connected. And it's changing everything for us. So I want to start off by kind of giving you a background with a PowerPoint of what CERN is and what Wayne State, what our position was in this project. So let me share my screen. And I'm gonna pull up my PowerPoint. And we went over this the last time, but it's so much information. I think that it's worth going over this again, some of the things, but not as much as I did before. But let me just, okay, this man here was my boss. His name is Thomas Cormier. I always felt like I worked for Einstein because that's what he looked like to me. And he was the one who was basically in charge of all of the institutions, and he helped to design the ALICE experiment in the ALICE calorimeter. We were part of the building of it, and the man was just amazing. He really was, and he was my mentor. And this is the person who I went to with my questions when I had questions about quantum physics and things of this nature. He was the one I went to because that was the top of the line. He was a physicist who graduated MIT at 26. So very, very, very smart man. This is the page of Wayne State's website, and this was our page, the RIC group, and we started out at Brookhaven National Laboratory, creating the STAR project, the calorimeter. So all of these were like, you know how you start off making something smaller, and then you make a small one, and then you go, okay, we made that, so then you want to make a big one, a bigger one. So that's basically what happened. We started making a smaller calorimeter at Brookhaven. And then after years, of that research and building that, they decided to build the Large Hadron Collider, and ALICE is one of those. So you can just kind of see the type of work that's being done. Unfortunately, my boss passed away a couple of months ago. He had moved over to Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and he was instrumental in the latest updates to the ALICE calorimeter, and he passed like 2 weeks after they did the final test, and it was they had got it right, basically. Okay, so if you look at this page, this is a page that shows you all of the people that were involved in our group. Thomas Cormier was my boss, Sean Gavin. All of these people are quantum physicists, theoretical physicists who work on projects with CERN and with the DOE. And you'll see I'm the only one without a doctor by my name. So, I was working with a lot of very, very, very smart people. And on the side of the students, I like to let you guys know that that person's name, Vera Loggins, she was the first African-American female to get a degree in quantum physics from Wayne State University at that time. So, that was kind of nice to be around for that. So this just kind of gives you an idea of the type of work that we were doing. This is the actual facility of CERN. And this is the Large Hadron Collider. This large round circle, that's the Large Hadron Collider that is 17 miles in circumference. You have to imagine something that large, and it is like almost 600 feet underground, this collider that they've built. And you'll see ALICE, I know that's your left side or your right side, but ALICE is over here. You have the ALICE experiment, the LHC-B, CMS. Those were the major experiments that were being built, and calorimeters that were being built, and then the actual experimentation is done. So this 17-mile long wide in circumference, this thing is what they send the small subatomic particles and bang them together to create well, we'll talk about what they're creating. But anyway, so this is the setup. So it crosses over 2 countries, Switzerland and France. That's how large it is. So just imagine driving 17 miles just to get around the entire Large Hadron Collider, because that's basically what you would have to do. After the initial 4 large experiments, you'll see that they start to expand to other smaller experiments. And I just like to get them aware of the one that's the most latest one is called Awake. And it just amazes me how they name these things certain things, because the first thing you want to think about is, what are you awakening? What is that about? So basically, I'm sure I'm not going into all of the details, because I'm sure people now are kind of familiar with CERN now, because they've been talking about it a lot and what they've been doing, the science, the experimentation, and what's been happening, you know, because, okay, let me say this. Quantum physics, this is the one thing I always like to say in any time I talk about this. I like to break down what quantum physics is so that it doesn't seem so intimidating of what they're doing. And what quantum physics is basically the study of very, very small particles. And when they look at particles at the subatomic level, the laws of physics break down. And that's what started all of this. They just kept looking at things smaller and smaller and smaller. And they said, okay, we got it now. Everything's a particle, classical physics. We got the foundation for our physics, what, you know, how everything is done. But when they got past the atomic size, meaning when they got it out to protons and neutrons, they're saying, okay, what's the proton made of? So now they're smashing these protons together at almost the speed of light to crash them open to see what's in there. And so when they did that, what they saw in there was not what they were expecting, because what they were expecting was to see an actual particle of something. And what they actually found is that at that level, something can be actually a particle and a wave at the same time. And this came about by something they call the double slit experiment. The double slit experiment is the granddaddy of all experiments, as Dr. Quantum would say. That's the experiment that made them say, uh-oh, we don't know what we thought we knew. And the easiest way, I try to find a very simple way to explain this experiment. And one way I can think of is to say like this. Imagine if you closed your eyes and you had a basketball, and you closed your eyes and you threw this basketball up against the wall. And every time when you close your eyes, you throw it up against the wall. When you open your eyes, you'll see an imprint, like a basketball has hit the wall, right? You close your eyes. If you open your eyes and you throw the ball, when it hits the wall, it's going to make an imprint of a square. And you say, well, wait a minute. How is that? Because when I close my eyes, it's a circle. But when I open my eyes and throw the ball, it hits it like a square. That's what was happening with quantum physics when they went down there. When they started looking at that such a small level, they realized that these particles, what they thought were particles, can actually be a wave at the same time. And what determines if it's a wave or a particle is if you're looking at it. And that's a really, really weird thing to understand, how just observing something changes something, but that's what they found in quantum physics. And so therefore they said, well, if that's the case, then that means that we affect our outsides more than we think. Our inside affects the out. And that is a very counterintuitive idea that quantum physics brings to us, but we have to learn to accept that, because this is what's happening now. This is a whole new world of what this reality is, because what they're doing is changing our idea of what reality is. And we are seeing some of the effects of it. A lot of us have seen it in what's called the Mandela effect. Okay, so I don't go on too much about that. This is the actual collider. And you see the little man at the very, very bottom. It's just giving you an idea of how large this is, and the type of energy that they're using is like unbelievable. And we'll talk more about that as far as July 5th one, but go on. There are so many different stories that went on that talked about CERN and what we were doing at the Large Hadron Collider. and just weird things were happening. So many weird things that a lot of people didn't know about. And this is just some of the things like the weird clouds. They're talking about that now on TikTok. I don't know, Tahila, I've sent you some of the videos, but people are showing things, strange things in the skies. These are things that we were seeing back then. And it's like, what is going on? Because you think about the type of power that they're using. We can't even imagine this. They say the power to run this, to run the collider for one day is all the energy it takes to run the United States for a year. Now, just think about that, how much power and energy that is, and it's concentrated in one spot. That's another picture. What the heck? You would think it's Photoshop, but it's not.
So Audrey, let me ask you a quick question. Is that causing blackouts in different areas?
I don't know if it's causing the blackouts, because I think the kind of power that we're dealing with, if they were causing blackouts, it would be blackouts over states.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
from us. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to say I don't know for sure, but I'm saying with that type of energy, if we were to, you know, some effects of it, it would just be more than a city blackout or a road. No. The whole states would be blacked out.
Yeah. Okay.
I put this up here because, you know, we know what they're telling us they're doing at CERN and with the Large Hadron Collider. They're telling us that they're smashing particles together to discover the beginnings of right before the Big Bang and how the universe was created and how, you know, matter was formed and things of that nature. And all of that is true. But we also know, just like with everything else, there's research being done underneath research. So there's a lot of research done that we don't know about that they're doing at CERN with those colliders. And this is one of those weird stories about Dr. Edward Mantell and what he said was going on. Now, I'm not going to go into his story. You can research him, but it's just another one of those things that lets you know that everything is not as it seems on the surface, especially at CERN. We have, I also want to say that I found out that the Rockefellers family is supporting a lot of this research, and they have their own scientists there doing research. Now, do you really think they're going to tell us what they're doing? Of course not. And they try to downplay it, but this is some off the chart science that has never been heard of in the history of, at least in our history. I don't know. I believe the ancient people knew about it and did it differently, but that's a whole nother subject. We can talk about that another time. Another one we had, there was a story back then about someone from the future coming time traveling back here to stop us from doing what we're doing at the LCH. Saying that we were going to destroy the world, you know. So some of us, you know, some people thought that was funny, but when you understand the type of power that we're dealing with and what the possibilities of what we could be doing, then you could say, well, you know, I just wouldn't dismiss it totally out of hand when you consider what type of science that we're really getting into. And I'm going to kind of show you that in a video in a minute. This is the front of CERN, and you'll see the statue of Shiva. That statue says a lot because it's a statue of destruction, and everyone's curious as why would they have such a statue in front of CERN? You know, it's like the story is about destruction and recreation. So, you know, bringing order from chaos and things of that nature. So I don't know, is that what we're doing here? I mean, is that the plan? I'm not sure, but this is just, you know, some of the things that make you kind of go, you know, what's really going on? What really makes you go, is things like this. Now, this was back in what, 2016, I believe. And there was what they called a mock human sacrifice done on the grounds of CERN. If you see the whole video, it's kind of hard to find now because they buried it, but the video, you can say it's a mock sacrifice, fine, but it looks pretty real to me. And what the heck would you be doing having any kind of, even a mock one or a real one, on the grounds of a research laboratory? It was really weird. And then to make it even weirder, the guy who took the video was found dead. So, you know, it's just a lot of things that I'm saying. Things are not as they seem. The things that are going on are some things that are science fiction. And if I wasn't a science fiction reader from way back, these things would make absolutely no sense to me. But it's like science fiction is turning into science fact, and it's turning into it right in front of my eyes. And I can't believe it, but I have to because I'm experiencing it. Now, all of these things about the Large Hadron Collider and what's happening, because they're going into this, basically piercing the veil of our reality, what's going to happen, what could happen, and people are finding things are different. And that is what they're calling the Mandela effect. Now, just hold on, because we're going to talk about some quantum computers. Those that were here before know what I showed you. I'm going to show it again, because you can't just see this stuff once and think that you understand what's happening. But there's a phenomenon that's going around where it's called the Mandela effect. And the Mandela effect is that they call it that because in the beginning, a lot of people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s and never becoming the president of South Africa. Now, of course, those of us who remember him getting out of prison and becoming the president was like, of course, no, that never happened. But they have such a clear vision, memory of this happening, the details, his funeral, all of these things, that it doesn't make sense. So that was just the one incident that gave this phenomenon its name. Well, what has happened is so many things have changed for many of us. Not all of us recognize these changes, but many of us have seen changes in our reality that do not make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's not a faulty memory. It's something has physically changed in this reality. And that is the thing that I want people to understand, that this is for real. This is not a joke. This is not someone playing a joke on your mind. No, the things have actually changed. And the thing is try to figure out what has happened. We talk about timelines and parallel universes and all of these things. And I believe these things are actually happening. Something of this nature is happening. Now, you don't have to agree with what I'm saying is happening, because my thing is, I'm not asking people to think like I think. I just want people to just start thinking and saying, okay, wait a minute, let me look at this and see what I can determine, use my own discernment as to what's going on. Is this true or not? But we have to start paying attention to this and not thinking that everything is a distraction. Because I heard someone say on TikTok, CERN is just a distraction. It's a distraction. I say, no. Because when something is a distraction, they put it right in your face all the time. No one has been talking about CERN for over the last 10 years that they've been doing this, because they did that. They actually found the Higgs boson on July 4th of 2012. That was 10 years ago. And I've been working on the project for almost 15 years, and nobody was talking about CERN in this Large Hadron Collider. And I would ask my boss, I'd be like, well, why isn't this on the news? If this is what you're saying is true, why isn't anyone talking about it? I just didn't get it. But now I understand they didn't want us to talk about it. Because when we start talking about it and we start thinking about it, and what are you doing and this and that, and they don't want us asking questions. But we need to start asking questions and stop blaming things on our, faulty memory. These things are real. We are living in the most unbelievable time. Unbelievable time. No one, our grandparents and great grandparents, and they ain't never seen nothing like this. This is totally new. So for the people that are born in the 2000s, they're totally new. Everything is new is what I'm saying. All of this is new. So we have to learn how to grasp our new reality that we're living in and try to figure out how to manage our lives in this new reality. So some of the Mandela effects, I just went, I just write them down as I remember them. There's so many. Some people will say they remember it. Some people will say they don't. It's not an either or, it's both. It's like, you're not wrong. If you say, let me see, like, for example, if you say, another Shaggy of Scooby-Doo. I used to watch that cartoon when I was little. And the thing that was always stand out about the Shaggy was that he had this large Adam's apple. And I don't know who grew up during that time, remember watching Scooby-Doo, but that large Adam's apple in Shaggy's neck used to bother me. But he said, why would they make him have to have such a large Adam's apple? But in this reality that I'm in now, Shaggy has no Adam's apple. And Shaggy never had an Adam's apple. And why did you think he had one? Because I watched a cartoon as a kid and that's what he had. So that's just one of the things, but there's so many. Now Hitler has blue eyes. In my reality, Hitler had always had brown eyes. What are you talking about? The Monopoly guy, the little monocle. These things may seem small because you're like, oh, but if you think about what's happening, that's not small. If that has changed and it never was, what I'm saying, what the heck is going on? I mean, it's just a long list. It's even more than this because so many things that we're seeing. These are just a few. How can you explain this? And another one that just blew my mind was that the Wizard of Oz, the Scarecrow, has a gun. The Scarecrow, I watched that movie as a child 100 times. I never saw a gun in the Scarecrow's hand. But now he has a gun in his hand, and those kind of things, it can make you think that you're crazy. But we're not. Something really, really seriously deep is happening here. And I'm not saying it's something for us to be afraid of. I think it's something for us to be aware of. So we know how to, interact in this new environment. It's nothing to be scared of because it is what it is. I just think that there's just a yin and yang for everything. And though these things are happening, I think there's something that's happening for our benefit also, if we choose to look at it that way. Okay, so this is, I think, the end of the slideshow that I want to show you, because I want to have a foundation of understanding where I'm coming from when I'm talking about these things from a scientific perspective. And that's what I want us to do, is just suspend our belief for what we think that we know, and just listen to what these people are saying, because I like to have the scientists tell you themselves. Now let me tell you, because I could be wrong or whatever, but this is what they're saying. So one of the let me see if I can get me up here. Okay. So one of the other things that I want to do is talk about what this quantum physics, what does all this really mean, and what does it mean for us, right? So there is a quantum physicist, his name is Audrey Rumbers, and he was one of the people that were instrumental in creating the first quantum computer. This quantum computer is something that you guys have never seen before. This is taking us to a whole nother level, and they have to explain it. So I have a short video, and it's just maybe about almost 20 minutes, but it's very important 20 minutes that's going to tell you about what's actually going on in the foundation of what they are doing at CERN and what's happening and why we are noticing all of these different changes. And I'm just saying this, when someone tells you they've seen something that you think is incredible, don't say that that's not possible. And I'm going to show you why. Now let me go, and I'm going to just start. Take down. Hold on, guys. How do I get the? Laverne, you still here? That's my my backup person for, I'm trying to get out of the PowerPoint presentation to get down to my video. All right.
You don't see,
Okay.
okay, there you go.
Go down and then go to, okay. This is Jordy Rose. This video was done maybe 2013, maybe 2014. So just imagine now we're in 2022 now. Now listen to this man.
This quote is from a respectable scientist, in fact, one of the founders of this field, that may look a little strange to you who don't follow theoretical physics, but there is a very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes. And that is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number of parallel realities, as real as this one, that have different consistent histories. So imagine a world where all of the laws of physics as we know them are obeyed, but different decisions were made along the way. Different decisions at the level of tiny microscopic particles, different decisions all the way up to what you chose to eat for lunch and whether you chose to come to this session or not. Quantum mechanics makes a very specific prediction that all of those are as real as the thing that you remember. And this is bizarre because we don't see those other things. But science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds. And quantum computers are perhaps the most exciting of all of these that we have within or almost within our grasp right now.
Okay.
So a horse
let me pause him.
can beat or could.
Okay. Now I want us to understand what this scientist just said. He basically said, without no confusion or misunderstanding, that there are parallel worlds that exist that are just like ours, except for a small microscopic change, something different at the level of a qubit, meaning at the quantum level, something might be a little different, but they're just like ours in every other aspect besides, like he said, maybe there's a change in what you ate for breakfast in today versus in one parallel universe versus another. So okay, let me do this again. Okay, I don't want to move. If you're into science fiction, then you understand that parallel universes have always been in the realm of science fiction, and now they're bringing it into the realm of science fact. So I'm going to continue on with this.
Would beat the initial flight of the Wright brothers flight in speed. So
what he's saying is that he's trying to demonstrate the difference between quantum computers and regular computers. So he's saying that, in the beginning, a horse could beat the Wilbur Wright's plane. It was faster than the Wilbur Wright's with the first plane that was built.
But a plane is not a faster horse. A plane is a different kind of machine. The plane takes advantage of another resource that nature gives us, this third dimension, in order to do something that matters to people better that you could do with any horse. It doesn't matter how fast you make a horse, it will never fly, at least the kinds of horses that we know about. So these types of computers now are being thought of in the same way. They're not terrifically powerful yet, but they're doing something completely different than what your computer does. And that thing is like flight. It gives these computers access to these new resources, maybe you could call them parallel universes, in order to do something that you couldn't otherwise do. An investor in the company, and for those of you who don't.
Yeah, so now, the things that he's saying is mind-boggling, but I don't want to get stuck on it. I want to kind of get through it, but I just want to listen to what he said then. It's unbelievable. This is what's coming out of their mouths right now.
Know him. He's a Silicon Valley investor who's probably the smartest VC that I know of, and certainly the one that's the most attuned to technological trends. He's on the board of SpaceX, Tesla, Synthetic Genomics, which is Craig Venter's company, is trying to build artificial life, and D-Wave, and that's it. And this is his particularly poetic way of framing the difference between the machines we build and conventional computers. This is what they look like. There are two of them. These are from our lab in Burnaby in British Columbia. From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths, big metal boxes, about 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Hundreds of times colder than interstellar space. Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to engineer. These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat. So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines, it is an awe-inspiring thing, at least for me. It feels like an altar to an alien god. They really are impressive machines. At the heart of this big box is a tiny chip about the size of your thumbnail. And on this chip resides all of the wonder and magic that makes this thing go. I'm not going to describe in any mathematical detail how it all works, but let me give you an analogy. In quantum mechanics, there's this concept that a thing can exist in two states which are mutually exclusive at the same time, quote unquote. So I'm using those words because the English language was developed before we had concepts to describe what these things actually are doing. But I'm going to give you a roundabout way of understanding this. Imagine that there really are parallel universes out there. And now imagine you have two that are exactly identical in every respect, all the way out to the horizon as far as we can see, down to the last little atomic detail of every single thing, with only one difference. And that's the value of a little thing called a qubit on this chip, which is a contraction of quantum bit. And that qubit is very much like a bit or a transistor in a conventional computer. It has two distinct physical states, which we call 0 and 1 for bit. In a conventional computer, these are mutually exclusive. That device is either one or the other, never anything else. In a quantum computer, that device can be in this strange situation where these two parallel universes have a nexus, a point in space where they overlap. And when you increase the number of these devices, every time you add one of these qubits, you double the number of these parallel universes that you have access to, until such time when you get to a chip like this, which is about 500 of these bits, you have something like 2 to the 500th power of these guys living in that chip. So the way I think about it is that the shadows of these parallel worlds overlap with ours. And if we're smart enough, we can dive into them and grab their resources and pull them back into ours to make an effect in our world. Now, this may sound very odd to you and bizarre. And in fact, I am using language that a normal theoretical physicist probably wouldn't use. But this is what I'm telling you is absolutely correct and in line with the way that these things actually work.
Okay, I'm gonna, let me see if I get
Are we gonna pause right there for just a minute? Because he just said a whole mouthful.
That's what I had. That's what I said. Let me go here and let's get back to because I think it's important for us to understand exactly what he said there. So we are
really
where we're starting from, because he said it very simply. He really did, but it's kind of hard to hear. First of all, he said that parallel worlds, realities do exist without any doubt. He said they exist. What he said also was that they live inside of that chip I mean, like you said, he said a lot of things, so many things that were mind blowing. The fact that we can actually reach into other parallel realities and pull our resources and bring them to ours, that is mind blowing. That's science fiction. That's not supposed to be able to happen. What are you talking about? No, that's not, but they're telling us yes. And not only is it possible, they're doing it now. They are actually doing this. So when I talk about, things like parallel universes and people are like, oh, that's just science fiction. I'm like, no, it's not. It's actually fact now. And quantum computers are the thing that's going to take us to a whole nother level of this. This is the spiritual thing. This is no longer physical. This is what I'm saying. We're getting into the spiritual, and that's why I call quantum physics spirit science.
Right.
Going beyond the regular now. We're getting down into the metaphysical, all of those things that they told us was pseudoscience and words like that to dismiss the things that were being said. But now the scientists are saying it. So spirituality and science are finally coming back together where they were in the first place until we split them apart with our European knowledge and all that kind of stuff. So does anyone have any questions before we go on? Because we got another part of this, of him talking, that's going to go even deeper. No?
While y'all
Yes.
have Audrey on the line, ask all your questions. Don't be calling me. Did she say such and such? I don't know. Call. So ask her right now.
Hello, Audrey.
Yes.
Can you hear me? This is Patrick.
Yes, I can hear you, Patrick.
All those videos that we just listened to are just explaining our secret science, the occult. Okay, we as Black people supposed to be in tune with this long time ago. Those are our science.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the white man is trying to use machine to explain what we knew for thousands of years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the still war is nothing but what they call quantum physics. There are different levels in the spiritual world. That people can time travel. That people who teleport today. That people among us who can visit a different world either in meditation or also consciously. So those things are not new. We all know about that. There are simple techniques to go from universe to universe. Those are very, very minor stuff that the Europeans are trying to explain with computers.
That's right.
So those things shouldn't affect us. We shouldn't be impressed with those. Those are nothing. We have those technologies within us.
Yeah.
Those technologies are in our melanin. So if we do the work,
Yes.
you can shift from universe to universe.
Yes.
It's all in our DNA. The problem is that most of us have grew up here in the Western society, and they lost those power.
Yes.
So they need to go back to follow certain principles to be able to activate those powers within. The white man doesn't have it, but we have it within us. We shouldn't be impressed with none of those stuff.
You're exactly right, Patrick. And I'll tell you, because those were the
Totally agree.
I talked to my boss about, because as I was learning about quantum physics, I was also studying ancient African history and cosmology and spirituality. And one day I went into my boss's office and I told him, I said, Tom, these same concepts that we're talking about in quantum physics, they were talking about this in these ancient times. And he
You go to Africa today, people got miniature plane that you cannot see. They can jump in the plane, 50 people, and they can travel the entire planet.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've seen evidence of this on TikTok. People may think that it's Photoshopped or CGI, whatever, but I'm like, no, those people are really doing that, levitating, all of this stuff. So you're right. This is the thing people don't understand. There is a connection between the ancient and the future times and technology. And it's just, the thing is, they're doing it in a different way. It's like they're taking a hammer to something, whereas the ancients took a feather and did the same thing, if you understand what I'm saying. They feel like they build these humongous machines to smash these protons, but I'm saying in ancient times, they already knew that without having to do that.
Yeah, but we have the DNA to do that inside us. They don't have it, so they have to use the computer, the machine.
Right.
So we need to be aware of this, and it shouldn't impress us. I know people back home, they can jump in the plane that is like a spoon and travel the entire planet. They can visit you in your house.
Yes.
You understand? So those things are nothing. We shouldn't be scared of nothing.
That's right.
Because machine cannot beat the real deal.
That's right.
Okay. So whatever they do, they cannot affect us. They cannot. Yeah.
Well, the thing is like I tell people about this who get so impressed with all this technology. I say, when you think about it, I said, we only use what, 10% of our brain at the most, and at 10%, if you can create artificial intelligence and you're only using 10%, then artificial intelligence is just child's play. All you just need to do is open your minds. Like you said, all of these things we can do. That's why it doesn't scare me. All of these things that I learned, because I understand. I'm like, well, wait a minute, because if that is true, then what's inside of me? And like you say, our melanin is the driving force for all of the things that we can do. That, like you said, this is not impressive. It's impressive to them, but if we really knew who we were and what's inside of us, we wouldn't be impressed at all. We'd just be saying, well, how can I use this to open up my third eye? You know what I'm saying? Or get me to understand myself. That's what we need.
Exactly.
This technology for, not to be ooh and on, the creator ooh and on over his creation. No, we use that in order to get deeper into what we can do to show who we truly are. Absolutely.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, parallel universe and all of that, they were talking about those things too back then, but we just said, oh, that's just science fiction. That's none of that can be true. Like I told people, I don't know how many years they told us that there was no water on Mars, so there was no way for there to be any life. There's no way. That was ridiculous. Oh, tinfoil hat people are always talking about this, and then years later they like, oh, guess what? We were wrong. Matter of fact, there's oceans of water underneath the surface. I'm like, see, this is what I'm saying. But you talk with such certainty when you're telling us that we're wrong. And then when you find out that we're right, it's like, oh, well, moving right along. And it's like, no, wait a minute. This is what we're saying. These things are true. These things are happening. And most people don't believe it until, someone in authority says it. So I'm saying, okay, now the authority, the scientists that everyone believes in, this is what they're saying. So you can't argue with me. You have to argue with them.
Yeah, you're right. Because they cannot do nothing that we don't know.
No,
because
machine. That's the thing. We don't know that. We have to know that to understand that. And that's what this is all about, to getting us to understand what's going on here, what they're capable of, and just to open your mind to say, well, if this is possible, what else is possible? Because there are two parallel, like, I don't know, like you have the technological road, and then you have the spirituality road. And I think these are going side by side. And I think that we need to realize that spirituality is the stronger of the two. And that's what's within us. And that's what quantum physics is. So that's why quantum physics is so empowering for me.
Yeah, these things are in the Bible. In the Bible, they tell you that the kingdom of God is within you, and the kingdom of and the world around you all the time. Like most Christians will tell me, oh, I want to die to go to paradise. I tell them you can go to paradise every single day.
Because everything
if you can, it's right next to you. If you can shift from this universe to paradise every night if you want to. You understand? So the people among us who do those things, who go and visit paradise and come back every night.
I hear this is absolutely true. And a lot of young people are starting to understand that power and using that power within them.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me go back and finish up this video of him explaining what they're doing now, because like I said, it's nothing for us to be afraid of, but it is something for us to be aware of. So we understand exactly what we're dealing with, the type of power, like he said, in order to keep that chip that they're contacting these other parallel realities with, they have to keep this thing so cold, almost absolute zero. Did you hear how much power they have to use just to keep it cold, just from burning out? Because just like your computer, you know, when you start using it, it starts to heat up. But they're using so much power that they have to keep this thing at almost an absolute zero. He says colder than interstellar space, whenever that is. But I'm saying this is the type of energies that we're dealing with that we've never dealt with before, not like this. So we don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. That's why you call it an experiment, right? But they think they know. So let me share the screen and let's continue to listen to this man tell us what they're doing. I can't get this thing out the way so I can hit that. Okay, let me do it like this. All right.
The doubling of the number of these qubits on the chip has happened once a year for the past 9 years. So for the last 9 years, every year, the number of these qubit devices has doubled, and it will continue to do so. As a point of reference, in terms of how fast these things are, in one generation of chip, the one from the system that was installed at USC to the one that Google and NASA have now, the speed of the device went up by almost 500,000. This is the kind of progress that you're going to see with these types of machines going forward. And 500,000 sounds like an abstract number, but I put up a little mental comparison here to see what 5,000 really means. 500,000 is a big number when it comes to speed. My third prediction that I'm going to end on is the most important of all. I believe that humanity is on the cusp of the most important technological, societal revolution that's ever occurred. And that's when we got to the point where the machines that we build outpace us in every respect. I don't mean that they're better calculators. I don't mean that they're better at searching. I mean everything. And I think that we're very close. And my prediction is that within 15 years, we will have machines that outpace humans in everything. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so
Now-
my previous company.
Okay. Now that was one talk that he had, and I think that's like in 2013 or so. This is another talk he's having now. I think it's like 2016. He's moved on to a new company. He went from D-Wave to this company called Kindred. And Kindred is a company that's developing AI. Now, once again, you heard what he just said at the end of the last presentation. He said they wanted to create artificial intelligence that is smarter, better than humans at everything. And at this point, and at 10%, I could see you doing that. That's at us at 10%, working at 10% of our capacity. But if we unlock more of our capacity, then AI is going to be like a child to us. You see, but we can't imagine it right now. But these are the things that are happening right now. That's what I'm saying. This is not in the future. These are things that are happening now. We have to realize if they're dealing with this type of science, imagine like Patrick was talking about, what's inside of us, because that's a whole nother side of the story. You have the technological side, and then you have the evolution of our spirituality, which I say is that's we can't beat them on the technological field, right? That's their field. But on the spiritual field, that's our field, and that's a whole nother ball game. But anyway, I'm going to let him continue to tell you what they're doing and their mindset, because what I keep saying is that these scientists are possessed by just the fact of the science that they're doing. You'll notice that they aren't really concerned with the possible consequences of what they're doing. That doesn't matter to them. It's like they're possessed by this knowledge. And I think that's a good word. Now listen to him talk about it. Now he's going to now talk about the connection between the D-Wave computer and the Mandela effect.
It was D-Wave. I'll just show you a couple things. We built what are still the world's only quantum computers that you can buy. And the company D-Wave has been doing this. Thanks. I didn't really have much to do with it, but because so this is one of them. This is one of the processors. And a lot of interesting things happened to me over the years there. I got sent pajamas, a whole bunch of stuff. There's lots of interesting things that happen when you build something like a quantum computer. But just as an aside, because I thought it was funny, one of the interesting things that's happened from the D-Wave story is there's this gigantic conspiracy that's arisen on the internet that goes like this. So D-Wave builds quantum computers. The way that they work, if you know how this works, is one of the interpretations is that you tap into these parallel universes and they do computations. Sounds really weird. But what's happened is this idea has been hijacked to describe something called the Mandela effect, which is this thing where the past changes. So think about something you know to be true from the past. And then imagine you went out on the internet and you can't find it at all. It's not there. It doesn't match with your experience. So these people think that D-Wave is responsible, and CERN. And of course, the quantum key to the abyss factors into it somehow. I'm not exactly sure how. So Kindred is much, much, much more ambitious than D-Wave. And what Kindred is trying to do is build real AI. So what you've heard about AI is not what we mean by AI. What we mean by AI is a software system that can do literally anything that a human can do. Literally anything. And obviously, computers are better at things than people in lots of different ways. So now imagine not only can they do everything that a human can do, but they can do everything that the best human at any task could do better than them. So imagine there was the mental Olympics of the 100-meter dash and Usain Bolt is the fastest person. Now imagine that's some kind of a mental thing like writing a novel or writing whatever. Imagine now that the thing is so much faster than Usain Bolt, like for example, it's a spaceship. Yeah, it's still doing the same thing, but it's doing it so much better because we're limited because we're people. So what Kindred is trying to do is solve this problem. How do you build machines that are better than people at everything? A complete and utter transformative change that of the likes of which has never been seen before in the history of humanity, making the Industrial Revolution look like a little tiny blip on the path that humans have taken from when we emerged from the ooze a few billion years ago. We are right on the verge of that transition now. So this guy, Rich Sutton, is one of the most famous people in the academic world of AI. And like many, when asked, when will this happen? He says things like this. 25% chance within 13 years of this thing that I'm talking about. When you think about what you read on the news, CNN, BuzzFeed, whatever, they're all kind of the same nowadays. Think about how unimportant that thing is that you're reading if this is true. Yeah? So what does this have to do with aliens? So Sam Harris, who I quite admire, is a very interesting guy, was reciting this parable at a TED talk that he was giving. And it goes something like this. So I am, say I'm the president of the United States. So I received this message from the heavens. So my microwave dish, my SETI dish finally captures something. And what it says is, in 50 years or 13 years, we're coming to your planet. You gotta be ready. Now just imagine what would happen if that happened. A super intelligent alien race beamed down a message to all of us Earthlings saying, we're coming July 13th, 2030, and boy, you better be ready because the mothership is landing right on the front lawn of the White House or wherever you wanted to land on that day. The amount of resources that would be marshaled to try to figure out what to do would encompass the whole world. AI is just like that. So when this thing that I'm talking about happens, it's going to be exactly the thing that you're thinking about those super intelligent AIs. So the one thing I can tell you is they're not going to be like us. So alien means, different. These things that we're building are not going to be people. They might be really smart. They might be really good at all sorts of different things, but they're not going to be like us. They're going to be aliens. And they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, way smarter than every single person in this room in ways that we can't even comprehend. So this, of course, triggers a lot of alarm. One of the guys who talks about this is Elon, who says things like this, like, when you do this, beware, because you think, just like the guy in the stories, that when you do this, you're going to put that little guy in a pentagram, and you're going to have your holy water out, and you're going to wave it at the thing, and by God, it's going to do exactly what you say and not one thing more, but it never works out that way. So this is an attitude that some are having, this emerging alarmism about the way this is going to go. But these words, demons, doesn't capture the essence of what's happening here. I don't know if any of you are turn of the century weird fiction fans, but there's this guy named H.P. Lovecraft, who's a very famous American weird fiction author. And he espoused a view which is called cosmicism. And the essence of cosmicism is cosmic indifference. So what he was saying is basically, yes, there are these massively intelligent entities out there, but they're not good, they're not evil. They just don't give a shit about you even in the slightest. The same way that you don't care about an ant is the same way they're not going to care about you. And these things that we're summoning into the world now are not demons, they're not evil, but they're more like the Lovecraftian great old ones. There are entities that are not necessarily going to be aligned with what we want. So this transition is really, really massively important for our entire species to navigate. And going back to that thing that Sam Harris was saying, nobody is paying attention. This thing is happening in the background while people bicker about politics and what's going to be in the healthcare plan in the US. And underneath it all is this rising tsunami that, if we're not careful, is going to wipe us all out. So on that pleasant note, we're hiring people to try to make something like this happen. And of course, this is a very difficult project, of course. And I'm kind of a little bit tongue in cheek about all this, like, how bad things are, because it's not really like that. There's technology is a double-edged sword, even something like this. It's agnostic, it depends who wields it.
Hey, great to have you out here. It was brilliant hearing you speak for the first time myself. I'm sure a lot of people here would agree with me. What is your goal to stop the world from turning into that of the Terminator?
Right. So there are things about the world that I can't stand. Okay. And I think that's probably true for everybody here. You look at the world and there's all these things that you think, shit, what are things like that? Okay. So there's a couple of things you can do when you're faced with this.
I'm going to pause him right here, because basically what he's doing is not answering the question. So he's going to talk and talk and talk and never answer the guy's question, which is a legitimate question, because basically what you're saying, from what you're saying, is that if you're going to build AI that's more smarter than us and this and that, and doesn't really care about us or whatever, why would we do that? Again, I mean, I don't understand it. Why would you do that? Because basically you're saying that we could be building our own destruction. But that's because that's what I'm saying. That's why they're possessed. I feel like they're possessed by just the science. We just got to do it. We got to do it. But then, like I said, I don't get worried about that, because I understand that there's a yin to that yang, and that's spirituality. And once we start tapping into that, all of this technology thing is going to be like child's play.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I know a lot was said there, but I just want to leave the foundation to say, listen, when we're talking about these things, we're not talking about science fiction. These things are happening, like he's telling you, that's not next year, not in 10 years, this is happening now. And the reason why I'm bringing up this AI, because AI is part of the quantum computers, all of these things are all together. They're using quantum computers at CERN, of course they are. They're using this technology that's out of this world to do these things. And we don't even know anything about it. And we're just going on about our lives, and we're using our Siri and our Alexa, and that's just AI, just learning all about us. That's all that is. But we don't recognize it. So this is the age that we're living in. So when we talk about 2012 and what was supposed to happen then, and everyone was saying the end of the world, but it's like, no, it's not quite the end of the world, but something happened in 2012. I don't think anyone can deny that, who's actually watching, understanding that something happened and something changed here. And I think that now, from my perspective, everyone has a perspective of what happened and things of that nature. Ever since I've been experiencing this Mandela effect, I had been very disoriented. I was like, when I first started realizing it was happening, I couldn't believe it. My mind was just blown. I couldn't sleep. I wake up thinking about it. I was obsessed with it because I'm like, this is crazy. This cannot be happening. But I remembered when I was working at Wayne State and when I was working with Tom, my boss, I would go in and ask some questions. And I remember one of the first questions I asked him was, is it true that we could create a black hole that would suck up the whole earth and, with this machine? And although I was expecting him to tell me, no, that was just internet talk, in actuality, he said, yes, we could, but he said, but it would be so small that it would burn itself out. And I thought, okay. And I remember telling him, and in that conversation, I remember telling him, well, the only time death doesn't matter is when we all go together. Because they said if they did create the black hole, it would suck us up so fast that we wouldn't even know what happened. So that was a conversation we had years ago. And as things have gone on through the years, I go back to that conversation because I'm wondering, I keep saying to myself and to other people, I don't know where I am. I don't know where I am. I mean, all the weird stuff that's happening, all that's fine. But the overarching idea for me is that I'm in a different place than I used to be. So I don't even know how this place works. I don't even know how I'm supposed to work in this place because this is not where I was. Everything has changed. And so as I start thinking about my conversations with my boss and about black holes, and they don't actually know what's on the other side of a black hole. So then I said, well, maybe they did open that black hole when they started up that machine in 2012. And maybe we did get destroyed or whatever, or shifted to another reality. Something has happened. And that's just not something that's like, oh, no. Seriously, something has shifted in our reality. Whether we want to accept it or not is irrelevant because it's happened. And it's up to us to take this wherever we are. That's the way I'm feeling. It's a place where things can be manifest very quickly. So instead of me worrying about what they're doing, which is big, I understand that, but I'm saying, but what is our part in this? There's something about us, especially us as Black people and melanin, that has a lot to do with these things. And it gives us an ability that I don't think others have. That's just a perspective, but that's what I believe. So I'm saying we're living in the twilight zone for real, for real, for real. We're living in the time of parallel universes of just all sorts of things that we could never have imagined experiencing. Well, this is it. We're here, and it's our time, and it's not for another generation. It's for the people who are here right now. We're here for a reason. We're here for a reason. So I'm saying this is our time to what I'm saying is whatever your abilities are, all of us have gifts and abilities. It's time for us to tap in and stop being scared of everything and start being more proactive than reactive and start saying, okay, if it's out there, how are we going to deal with it together? Because that's the only way that we're going to get through this. Truly, is if we deal with this together. So I don't want to take up too much time without giving people any time to ask any questions or anything. before we go on to like talk about what happened on July 5th.
Excuse me, I wanted to agree with you, Audrey, what you were just saying. They could have did this before, what was it? They were saying July the 5th. Like you said, they could have did this around 2012. We just live our life,
Yeah.
you know, it was just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but things have definitely changed, that's what I'm saying.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to admit it, because if you admit to the changes that have really happened, you cannot continue to think the same way. If
Yeah.
you're not blown away, if your mind isn't totally blown away by what's happening, then you don't understand what's happening. You don't
Yeah.
say, oh yeah, well, you know, my frosted flakes aren't whatever, you know, like as they say, it's simple things like the cereal from Fruit Loops spelled with regularly Fruit to where they spell it now Froot. You know, you would say, well, that's just a small change, but that's a change in the reality, because they're telling you it never was the way you thought it was. It never was, and we all cannot be having memory lapses. That's impossible. No, that's not what's happening here. Something on a whole different level is happening. And once we accept it, I think that is an exciting time, because listen, people have lived and died and have not experienced anything of what we've experienced today. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in this day, nothing. For us to be here, to experience it, and to be able to actually take these things and empower ourselves with this energy and things like that. They haven't done that for what, thousands of years, I believe. And now it's the time. A lot of people call it.
I think Audrey also, well, I agree with what you're saying. And I heard this, it was an argument one time.
Hello? What happened? Sheila, you went out on us? Oh, she might have got a call.
They're saying that it never happened, like you said.
Say that again.
I said, you know how, I said, I heard an argument, people were talking about that, like the Fruit Loop logo or the Berenstein Bears or Joel Osteen or whatever, different names, different things that happen. We know it happened, but then when we go back to research it or people reference it, they'll say, no, that never happened. This is the way it happened right here. And it's like, no, but I clearly remember that, you know?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, it's just like quantum physics. It's a situation where you both are right.
Yeah, exactly.
Both are right. There's no one is not wrong. I'm not wrong because I see it one way, but in my reality, that's the way it was. And for you, that's the way it was not. And that's that those two things can exist at the same time, is what I'm saying, whether we understand.
Love and peace, beloved. May I say something? Thank you very much for the invite. It's been absolutely enjoyable thus far. And I just want to say, with all that we've heard from the video and what you're saying, you know, it also brings into the aspect, if you ever heard, as above, so below.
Yeah.
So within, so without. So what I'm simply saying is, when what vibe through me was, speaking of that parallel chip, is quantum. Quantum is just simply that our ancestors are waiting for us to be awakened. They have been waiting for us to wake up, and we are doing that, just that. And so their position they're taking is okay, because like you said, it's not a right or wrong in this dimension. In the higher heavens, it's either positive or it's negative. It either compels or it repels. But only in this dimension, we get caught in what may or may not be a distraction. So their position is to do their job, which is to indoctrinate continually, as we continue to pay attention to what they're calling a distraction. It's not a distraction, because we are being effective, you know, some more so than others, because some of us have a plant diet. I won't say plant-based, because what does that mean? But some of us have plant diets, which means we are meat suits are getting lighter. That taps into this quantum physics, believe that or not. You know what I'm saying? So we're getting downloads from our ancestors so we can wake up. And the information they're bringing is just letting us know their chess moves. Just their chess moves, because we have the ability to do. We are made in the image, right? We're made in the image. So if we're made in the image, we are the gods already. We just need to wake up, and everybody wakes up when it's their time to wake up. There's no competition. Just hopefully you make it in time on whatever time that the timeline shifts. We're no longer in the Pisces vibration, which is I believe, I believe. We're literally in the Aquarian vibe, the Aquarian age. It's I know. You know what you know, so let's get it together. It is about our people, our nation, but also when you talk about Aquarian energy, it's a Unitarian, universal, quantum. It's bigger than I, we, you, and they. You know, that's all I'm saying. So thank you so much for the invite thus far. Continue on, and thank you for letting me speak.
Can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I love what the sister just said. She was on point, you know. And I will reveal something to you guys that you might not believe. All the scriptures, all the secret book on the planet talk about the destruction of the earth. Means that we'll be moving from the third dimension to the fourth. The European, without the melanin, you cannot move to the fourth dimension. So what they're trying to do is to stop us from moving there. Those who are doing the work. They want to stop us from moving to the fourth dimension, but they also want to try to move to the fourth dimension, but with technology. Because they don't have the physical nutrients to be able to move to the fourth dimension. So that's what's happening. We should be praying for this dimension to be destroyed. Each of us should be making sure that we ask for the dimension to be destroyed. There's nothing good here. It was built out of fallacy, injustice, and discrimination. So, and I talked to an older man back home once before. He told me that even the European who are giving them the knowledge to do everything that they're doing, it's our ancestors. They're putting that in their head so that they can destroy people who are supposed to get destroyed. Those are our ancestors giving them knowledge because they stole 7 million books from home when they enslaved us. They're using those books, they're decoding them, they're using them for technology, and they're trying to figure out how we could do everything we did in the ancient time. And our ancestors, because they have the book now, they have to give them to help this dimension. So it should be a good for us. We should be happy. Whatever they do, we need to know that it's not for their goodness. It's for us.
You know, Audrey, when you spoke about, you know, you made a statement about the difference of energies or aliens or whatever title you want to, you know, that you might want to give them, that are absolutely coming through with their opening or activation or aggravation, depending on the perception of the individual, right? Is what you're gonna call it, right? But when you were speaking, that is what Star Wars, Exorcist, so many movies we could call down, Jumpers, you know what I'm saying, that we can call down, whether it's the elders, whether it's the young people. But let's be clear though, the young starseed codes, they know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
See,
Yeah.
they know what's going on. It's the elders. We need to let loose.
That's right. That's right.
You know, we need to let loose and relax and breathe through and let the ancestors flow through us so we can step our game up and we can match up. Because these young starseed codes, oh, they're on point.
Oh, yes, they are.
They're on point, even though it may appear to be electronics, but dig it though. This Aquarian energy, Arian is the Zoom. Aquarius is Zoom, that's air energy. Aquarius is what? Electronics. So let's not get caught up into the religion piece of, oh, that's astrology and that's stars. That's real.
Real.
That's real. That's real as deep as what you're sharing with us today. That is real.
You know what? That's why I would love to have maybe the next talk that we do is on that ancient future connection, because people have to see that. It's like, look, here it is. This is, they're doing that here. They're doing this, you know, back then. All the things that they don't want us to see, they don't want to show us. But this is the time, you know, people say, you know, this is the apocalypse. But I'm like, but do you realize that the apocalypse means the revelation?
It's time. Reveal. Reveal.
It's time for revealing the door. I mean, because you can, you know, I grew up Christian, right? I'm not a Christian now, but I say there's truth in all of these books and all of these ancient texts, not just one, all of them. I know in that Revelation said the end, it says there will be a door that's open that will not be closed. And I'm saying,
Absolutely.
you can't,
Absolutely.
can't kill us all. We all know now. Listen to the app that is getting all of this information out. What's it called? TikTok.
You see, that's the clock ticking and talking through the quantum codes. And the black hole is nothing but death.
Yeah.
We should not, like Patrick said earlier, fear nothing. Fear nothing. For we are the gods and the goddesses.
Nothing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And once we understand that and we can transform that energy that we have, this is gonna be, like he said, it's gonna be like child's play. It's gonna be like child's play. But as long as you see yourself as that small, you know, no power kind of person, you know, like I used the example of the chessboard. They're always talking about, you know, we're playing chess, not checkers. And then the weakest piece on the chessboard is the pawn, right? But yet, if that pawn gets to a certain level, that pawn can be turned into any piece on that board. It can become the most powerful piece on that board. It just has to get to a certain level. So I say, because once I get to that level, you ain't gonna be able to stop me. So you know what I'm saying? It's just all sitting out there telling us that you are much more than you think. And the only reason why you don't think you are is because they don't want you to know you are. They don't want you to know how easy it is for you to tap in when you start, like he said, instead of, or one of you guys said, instead of thinking, you start knowing, right? Now I'll give you an example of what I mean about this time that we're living in, and it's real. I don't know if many of you guys know Kwame Brown, the guy that was on YouTube, used to be a basketball player back in the 80s or whatever. And he got on YouTube and he started saying some things. I say he started doing some changes, because I understand I understand kindred spirits, I call them that. People that I know what you're thinking about, why you're doing what you're doing. And I said, oh, he's one of us. That's when I saw him, when I heard him, I said, he's one of us. I can see he's trying to make that change. And I said to myself, I'm going to make him a pyramid. I'm going to make him a pyramid. That's what I said to myself. I'm going to make him a pyramid. Now, at the point when I said that, I didn't know this man from Adam. I don't know how to get to him. I don't know anything, but in my mind, I just said, I'm going to make it for him. And as I'm making him this pyramid, it took me about a month to make it, so I had to think about it, whatever. And I'm just watching him every day as I'm making this pyramid. And then right before I finish making the pyramid, he comes on his live and he says, you know what? I really like you, Black small business owners. And I tell you what, I'm gonna promote your products on my platform. So here's the address. Send me your products. And I said, did this man just give me the address to send the pyramid that he doesn't even know he's getting? But right at that time, he said, because I didn't know how he was gonna get it, but I was like, okay, well, however, I just knew I had to do it. So he gave me the address. So I said, okay, so then I mailed it off to him. Now just imagine when he made this statement, how many small business people start sending him stuff. So I said, okay, so he got it. Okay, so I'm watching him every day maybe about a week later or so, the first box he opened was mine. And his reaction to it, you got to go online and see it, because I can't explain to you. I put it online because I couldn't ask for a better promotion for my product than the way Kwame reacted. But my point is that when I said that if I had to let myself think further than I'm going to make him a pyramid as to how is he going to get it, he doesn't know me, blah, 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 I would have talked myself out of it. Because I would have said, oh, no, I'm not going to do it. But see, I didn't let myself go there. I just took with, this is what's going to happen. And the universe put everything else in my path for it to work out perfectly. Just from that one thought. This is what I'm seeing, a manifestation. If that can happen, what else can happen? And all I do is think about how did I feel when I was manifesting that. And I just remember feeling this overwhelming feeling of emotion, of like happiness, like, yes, and oh, I'm going to do this. And I just knew I was going to do it. I knew he was going to get it. And I had no idea how it was going to happen. But I realized I didn't have to have an idea, because when you're working with the universe, when you're in tune with spirit, it just says, okay, now I'm going to give you this. Now I'm going to give you that. Now make sure everything that you say you want to manifest happens.
Ashe.
Yeah. So yeah, we're living in amazing times. Now, I want to get back to CERN and the LHC, because like you say, now that people are becoming more aware of what's going on, they're starting to, ask questions. And so when they said that they were going to do this, start the LHC up again, and people were becoming aware of it, and they were saying, oh, these things are going to change, and they're going to change things. And I'm like, whatever is going to be changed is already changed. We're in the midst of the change. This what they're doing now is not changing things. They're just continuing on. I don't know what this is going to mean, what they're doing, but I know this is just a continuation of what already they had started. And what it is that the amount of energies is just so mind-blowing that we can't even imagine, because what the last time they ran it, they used 6.3 TeVs, which is trillion electron volts. TeVs are trillion, so that's 6 trillion electron volts of power. This time, they're doubling that. They're using 13. It's already happened. They use 13. Now, what I'm saying is that what we saw on the 5th was just political theater. Just like political theater, they got scientific theater. And they put that up there for us to say, they're starting to talk about it. They're starting to wonder what we're doing. Well, let's go and show them something so they can say, oh, let's, put on this little, theater about, all the different parts of it and talking about it and all that stuff. And then they did, and it's like, all right, that was it. Nothing happened. The world didn't blow up. Nothing happened. Nothing to see here, and move on. I said, but that's just for us. That's just for public consumption. I don't even believe that they did what they did on that day. As a matter of fact, there's evidence that it didn't happen that day. I said, because that's not like you to put something like that on live for us to see. I'm like, no, just because I understand the way that they work, I'm like, nope, that's theater, because they don't want you. They want you to keep thinking it's boring. They want you to keep thinking this is all about the science. But when I was working at Wayne State and I'm talking to these different professors and things about this, and I'm like, don't you think people need to know about this? Because quantum physics is not about out there. Quantum physics is about in here, inside of us. And the reason why I say this is because when we talk about looking at atoms at a subatomic level and things being strange, those atoms are the same things that we're made of. So if you're telling me that the things that I'm made of can be two things at the same time, can do all these incredible things, that means that's me. That's not outside of me, that's me. So all I need to do is learn how to tap into me, not what's outside of me. That's what the change. And I think that's what Patrick was making the greater point is, like, no matter how many wows and oohs and ahs they show us, that's nothing compared to what you can do. And I mean that literally, nothing that they can do that you can't do. They want you to think about combining yourself with technology in order to take you to the next level. They call it brain-computer interface. And I'm saying, you don't need that computer. You don't need that computer in order to take you to the next level, in order to talk about telepathy and telekinesis. All of those things are possible without any of their technology. but they want you dependent on that technology because that's the way they keep us held down. Our like I said, our playing field is the spiritual playing field. It's not the physical. That's their thing, and they know this. I'm saying those, when I say they, I mean those that are in control of this system that we're living up under. Those people know, they've done experimentation. You find it in the CIA vault. There's so much information out there that they're trying to keep down. But see, TikTok, because it used to be on YouTube. When YouTube was YouTube, you found all this information, all of these whistleblowers and people who worked for the government and were telling us all these things, and they purged all of that. I don't know if you guys were watching them, but all of those platforms that used to really tell us information, they purged them all off of YouTube. All of them. And I was wondering, where was all of this information going to go? And then I hooked up on TikTok, which I thought, at first was like the kids thing or whatever. But I kept hearing some things on there that I'm like, wait a minute, what are they talking about? That's something that I talk about. And so I went on ahead and got on, and I'm like, there was all the information that had seemingly disappeared off of the internet. And guess who was talking about it? These young people were talking about it. Young Black people, melanated people, whatever, young people there. I said, oh, because I knew once they find out, oh, they're going to be on it. The older people, maybe not so much. They just kind of in their own way. But these young people, I say, oh, when they find out about this, they're going to start actually trying to tap in, because they don't have that feeling like, oh, no, I can't do it. They, kids feel like they can do anything. And that's what I like, because at this point, in this history, in this reality that we're living in, we can do anything. We can do anything. We can experience miracles. We can have telekinesis. We can have telepathy. We can do all of those things, but we have to know that we can do it and just start doing it. And I've seen those on TikTok that they'll say that that's Photoshop. I say, no, that ain't. Those are the ones that know. Those are the ones that know, and they're doing. And that's what we have to all start doing. It's just being proactive and realizing the power within us, and stop looking at all the bad things around and want to boo-hoo. No. Let's change it. And it just starts with us. So I don't want to keep on. Anyone else have anything to add or include or say or anything? Questions?
Yes. Audrey, what did they use the fiber optics for at CERN?
Well, they say that they use the fiber optics in order to be able to detect actually what's going on at that smaller level. I say like fiber optics are like the tools of quantum physics, right? Because quantum physics is when you get down at the level of quantum physics, it's like the level of light. And that's what they're using. I have a book that shows you the ALICE calorimeter and how we have the fiber optics and all of the what we call modules that we connect together to create a super module. And they're all about there so they can detect at a minute level fiber optics. Because of the energy system, information flows on light waves, right? So the information that they're getting through there is from the information from their collision, subatomic level. So they wouldn't be able to do that without fiber optics.
Okay.
Because they need, fiber optics. With fiber optics, there's no interference. Like when you're using electricity, you can get electrical interference. But when you're dealing with light, there is no interference. So that's why they're using fiber optics, because you when you're dealing with that small of a particles and things, and you can't have anything interfere with the movement of it, whereas it's going around those colliders. The information it's all about information communication. Anything
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, the subject matter is so interesting. I hope I'm explaining it in a way that you guys understand where we are right now.
Yes, you are.
Okay, because what I'm trying to say is it's if you do not get up and feel like it's something for you to know, you not, if you're bored, you're missing it. Because in this time, there's no reason. There's so many things going on, so many things that you can be involved in order to help raise the vibration of us, in order to take us to the next level, to educate yourself, to learn more about. This is not your grandma's science. This is a totally different animal, and it's about each of us. And that's why I didn't really talk a lot about what happens at CERN, because I didn't want to get bogged down in what they're doing. I wanted to bring it back to what we can do. That's what's important, not what they're doing, what they're showing us that we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just try it. If we see all of this negative energy out here, then we just decide to put in some positive energy. That doesn't mean you have to change your whole life and become a monk and never do anything. No, it just means being conscious of your own actions, of your own thoughts, of your own words. Because once you're conscious, you realize things that you didn't even realize before. Oh, the way I said that sounded kind of harsh. When you know, usually, but when you're conscious of what you're saying, you can catch those things before they get too far out, because you recognize, oh no, I didn't mean that. Bring that back. No, bring that back and go. Let's come again, right? So it's all about becoming aware of who we are and what we are, and the quantum makeup of our own selves. You know, that makes us able to do so unbelievable things. I have seen things in my own life that I'm like, if you had told me this 15 years ago, I would have laughed in your face and just said, that's that just can't happen. And now here I am living it and trying to get other people convinced that this is within us. And we are the ones that have to, you know, wake up.
I love it. You know what, Audrey, what you said was key about, you know, even how you're manifesting things in your own life. We're moving from a place of what seems to be coincidences to a place of intentional happenings, because we put it forth, you know?
Yeah.
And it's all about what you intend. And when your words line up with your, not only your actions, but your thoughts and your feelings, and everything lines up together, whatever you put out there, it manifests, just like your pyramids, you know, and then the universe was just like, okay, you know, just lined up your steps and set you up, you know what I'm saying? All right, we're gonna make this connection here, you know, because you were ready. But a lot of times we try to, in order not to take responsibility for our lives, we project it outward, you know what I'm saying, and not inward. You know, it's not in the sky, it's in you, you know?
Yeah.
And once we really get that and fully embrace our responsibility of who we are and what we are and what we can do and accomplish, we're gonna see some amazing things, man, for real.
Amazing thing. I'll say this. I absolutely, this is an inclusive thing. Is nothing exclusive about it, but there's something about melanin that they know that they don't want to stop. Well, I know, learned, but I'm saying the average person has no idea. And I'm saying the fact that we have no idea says there's something special about that. The things they use melanin to go in honest space, and I don't want to go, because see, I can go from subject to subject to subject, because all of these things are connected. So I'd be trying to, you know, stay focused on what I said I was going to talk about. But all of these things, melanin, ancient future, all of this stuff, that it's just so much out there. You know, the only reason why you just got to look for it, you just got to be a seeker. You know, because I say this, there's a difference between seeking something and searching for something, right? If you're searching for something, you could probably search for it and never find it, and just like, okay, I didn't find it. But when you're seeking something, you never stop. You never you find it. You never stop. So you're always seeking, not searching. That's a difference. You know what I'm saying? You're seeking. It's a difference to the conclusion. You know what I'm saying? That you're not going to stop. when you are seeking. When you're searching, you might, but when you're seeking information, when you're seeking knowledge, and it's gonna come to you eventually because you never stop.
That's right. That's right. Audrey, real quick, let me jump in. I want to ask, did Mom get her question asked? She asked a question in the chat. I'm not sure if you had already addressed it or not.
Oh, heck.
Can you hear me? Audrey?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at
Oh.
chat.
Okay, let me read her, hold on, let me go back to it. I want to read her question. I don't know if you had actually already addressed that or not. I didn't hear it. So it says, Audrey, I have a question. Given their current technology and their ability to capture our auric fields and literally see how much energy we carry, how do we avoid this? How do we coat our fields so they are unable to penetrate and view? How do we ghost ourselves, in other words, and hide our energies from them?
Okay, now, understanding everything I say is just my perspective, so it doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just, And when you ask me a question like that, when you're asking me about how do we cloak ourselves or avoid them, no, you can't avoid it. That's what I'm saying. We can't avoid it. We got to stand up and fight it. They know. They already know. We can't hide. The point is not in hiding. The point is in standing up and say, yeah, I know you know, but I know you know, I know too.
Right.
So I don't even spend much time on, I'm not saying I'm not afraid. What I'm saying. I don't spend my time on how to protect myself. I spend my time on how to affect things out there, right? Because let's be real, we all have a certain amount of time to be here, whatever. So it doesn't matter what happens, what they do, that doesn't matter, not to me. What matters is what I'm doing, what I'm affecting, who I'm affecting, because it may be just that one person that I affect who will be the person who can affect it all, right? So while we're worried about, some of us are worried, they can see everything. They can see everything. Ain't nothing hidden from them. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me, I think I talked about this example before of Sonic Hedgehog, right? And my grandkids had me watching Sonic Hedgehog about 20 times because they love that movie. And I started looking at it and I started saying, dang, he reminds me of us. Because he has all of this power. And what does he do with it? He runs away. That's what his mom told him to do. Anytime they come, just run. And that's what he spent his life doing, running away from problems, running away from this. Oh, this guy, I gotta run. Until at the end of the movie, he stopped running. And he was about to run, he turned around, he said, no, I'm not running anymore. He said, that's my power. I said, ooh.
Okay.
You sound like us. He said, so instead of using his power to run, to protect himself, he took that power, transform it. You see what I'm saying? And he took that out. It's the same thing like the Black Panther suit. And what it is, it absorbs kinetic energy. All of that, it takes it, and what does it do? Flip it, gives it right back to you. You see, so I don't know how we avoid them seeing that. I don't know. That's not my, that's not what I concentrate on. I ain't trying to ghost myself. You know who I am. You know what I do. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm saying if it's enough of us, I don't say enough of us got to be so big and no. Just think about it. Like we just make it really simple when we think about it. One ant is nothing. Can't do nothing, but you put 1,000 of them together.
Oh boy.
Put 1,000 of them, and then you tell me if you're gonna go to stepping on it. You know what I'm saying? So for us, we don't all have to have a lot of power. We just got to put a little power together, all of us. And you would be amazed what we could change, the things we could do just by that. Not by going anywhere, not by, you know what I'm saying, doing anything besides what's inside of us. We can't run, y'all. It ain't nowhere for us to go. We got to stand up and look them in the face and say, yeah, I know you, you know me. Now let's do it.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, honestly, that's it. It ain't no running no more. We can't run anymore.
Mm.
You know, we got to accept that this is our responsibility to stand and fight. And yes, some of us are going to be sacrificed. I don't even think I'm going to see the real change, but I'm okay with that. You see, because those from the past is the ones that got me to this spot that they couldn't see.
Come on now.
I'm for the next generation. I'm just not about me. I'm for y'all to stand on my shoulders. And if I got to go down for you to keep going, I'm good with it.
Mm.
Good with it. And you got to be good with it because you got to be ready to lay down your life. And that's just the truth of the matter. And if you're not ready for that, then you're not ready for this fight.
Mm. Well,
Got us on technology, but they don't have nothing on our spirituality. Nothing.
nothing.
That's our playing field. Get back to our playing field. Get back to what our ancestors told us. Get back to those things that they told us they said weren't true, and that was just pseudoscience. We need to go back and rethink it. Because what I did when I was at Wayne State, and I was going to class, and you know, I was working, and so I had to write this paper. And I told my boss, I said, "Oh, I got this paper to write," and the name of the paper was African Cosmology: Revisiting a Paradigm in the Age of Quantum Physics. Oh, that sounds like an interesting paper. I said, yeah. See, because I'm telling you, ancient fusion. Well, I'm like, look, you see what I'm saying? So we just need to go back and get that knowledge and that understanding and use that here. And let's do this, because this is the time. It ain't the time to be running.
Let's do it.
It's over. I'm telling you, that's the truth. We're here. We're here. We're in that time that they were talking about. We're here. And all of the science says it. This is craziness, the Mandela effect. Are you kidding me? Nobody's ever done nothing like this before. You know, not saying for us, I mean, thousands of years.
Right.
You know, this is our time. So I'm happy to be here because here's the thing. Bad things happen all the time, have always happened. And that's nothing new. But what's new is us. That's the new part. That's the new part. We're new. Because we're new. Ourselves. Everything is a cycle, right? And we're just cycling back around to who we are.
That's right.
It's been waiting on us to wake up. You know, so I'm proud of being a part of that awakening. Whatever part I'm going to play, that's the part I'm playing. I don't care what no one else does. I don't care what no one else says, because no one has lived this life that I've lived. No one has lived your life that you live. No one can tell you things that aren't true that you know that you've lived yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
This is true.
So it's our time. That's all I can say. It's our time. And I know I was put there in that physics department with all of those people for a reason. For a reason. Because without that, I would never be where I am. Thomas Cormier was my mentor. That man taught me so much that I would never have known. And everything, like, you know, it's like we're in the valley. And then if you look from the mountaintop and you see how your life has come to a certain point, and why I was always interested in science fiction and, you know, all of these things. And then I ended up working in this physics place with this quantum physics. But for me, it fits me. Because I've always been interested in it, but only from a science fiction, because these things were not possible. And now I'm living here where it is, and I just can't believe I'm here.
You said not just possible, but it is, huh?
It is. It's here, and we can all tap into it, and we could have a lot of fun with this. We really could, if we just let go of that, you know, time and just relax with it. Just relax. What's gonna happen? I'm saying, how can we do worse than what we're doing now? We got to change something. And I think this is a change that we all need.
Absolutely.
Change the way we think. That's what it is. It's from inside out.
Absolutely. Listen, Audrey, let me jump in here right quick. Everyone look in the chat if you're able to access the chat right now. At the beginning of the chat messages, I put Audrey's website for you. I'm asking everyone, you know, she's just sharing with us. We love her so much. She shares so freely and so excited about, you know, just imparting the knowledge that she has to us to bring us up to the next level. And she doesn't charge anything. She just wants to spend time. And we appreciate that. But I really want us to show our appreciation to her because she doesn't charge anything. You know, her Cash App is in the chat. It's $ Audranite 777 AUDRANITE 777. Make sure you drop her something in Cash App. If you don't have anything Cash App, then go to her website at www.audranite.com and check out her pyramids and, you know, purchase a pyramid for your home. Get that, you know, rose quartz fiber optic wonderful love energy and positive healing energy in your home. Get 2 or 3 of them. You know, several of my friends have called me like, I bought one, I bought 2. I'm like, awesome, great. So get, you know, support her. Let's support her so she can keep doing what she's doing. She don't have to be bogged down with other things. She can just freely create, freely share. And we just want to be a blessing to her. We appreciate you so much, Audrey. Like for real, for real. I'm just so grateful for you. And I want
so happy, all the women. I'm so happy because I'm like, I know the feminine energy, y'all. It's our time.
yes.
Wake up and see
Yeah.
you are just unbelievable beings. We all are all together. We're all connected. And I'm telling you, once that energy starts to flowing, and once these women start to realize who they are, woo,
I know that's right.
you know, everything that we taught was right is wrong. Everything we taught was wrong is right. I don't know, it's crazy, but
it's all flipped upside down, inside out.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's the kind of way I think about things. I say, it's like if they're telling me to look at something, I was like, nope, that's not what you look at. That's the
yeah, sleight of hand. Try to distract you while they're doing what they're doing.
That's right. And like I said, CERN, they ain't been talking about CERN, they ain't been talking about the LHC, they haven't said a word about it, barely a peep. That's why I know yeah, that's something we need to keep our eye on. LHC for 4 years straight now. 4 years. I don't think many people know that. I think they did it and they started to know time this continuous run. So no telling how weird.
Right.
Right now, people are already seeing where they can see through. Well, see, this is so crazy. I can't even talk because I'm like, people aren't gonna believe this. They got, you know, it's Photoshop. I'm like, no. No, think about the energies that we're using, you guys. What do you think you think that's not gonna affect anything? You know, we're talking about keeping the chip just a smidgen above absolute zero. We're talking about using the energy in one day that the entire country in a year, and y'all don't think that's some I mean, you know, it's just like mind-boggling to me that we're not even caring, but I understand they don't want us to care. They want us not to understand what's going on. We're not gonna let that happen. We're gonna keep talking about it because everything starts first with the thought and then with the community. So we just create the conversation for us. You know, we ain't with that downbeat and oh, woe is we.
That's right. We're asking everyone who's not speaking right now to please mute your phone unless you have a question, because the conversation is coming across the conference. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Audrey.
So I'm just saying this is, you know, this is just our time. And if you just take the time to you know, research some of these things for yourself, because there's nothing like getting information for yourself and you know, discerning it how you do with your mind. You know, everyone has a different perspective, but in the end, we can't deny what we're seeing, what's happening. We cannot be in denial anymore. We got to start taking responsibility. Those of us that know, those that don't know, there's nothing we can do about that. Those of us that know, we don't need everybody. We don't need everybody to make this unbelievable change. We don't. We just need the ones that know to use their abilities, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. If you're a spiritualist, if you're a healer, if you're a light worker, whatever you consider yourself, you know who you are. And you know that it's that time. And I'm just another one to confirm for you, wherever you are, that yep,
Yeah.
This is us. This is real.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yes. And it's just so much more, you guys. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm telling you, we need to get into this ancient future thing, which is something I would like to talk about. You know, how the connection of the ancient technology and the future technology that we're using now, how they're coming together, and how do you explain that?
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed. Did anyone else have any other questions? We want to make sure everybody gets a chance to either make your comment or have a question answered.
And what she said in the chat, I see someone missed to everyone says, curious, why does the language he's using come across with a sense of control, taking and dominating rather than collaborating with sentient life? Exactly. Exactly right. That's what I'm saying. Listen to the way that they talk about things.
Yeah.
That's a whole different sensibility than the way we feel. You know what I'm saying? And that's why. They don't have, they need that. They need this technology in order to feel, you know, fulfilled like they're really doing, but we don't. We really don't. What they call dark matter is actually melanin. Exactly. My sister always points to the black face in space. I don't know if you guys seen that. My sister always talk about that. Or as far as another thing I want to say is as far as our spirituality, I have a picture I've shown sometime of DNA coming from the middle of the Milky Way galaxy. And it's just streaming out. And then this was back in 2006, I believe, when the scientists first saw it. And I said, there's our upgrade. And it's just streaming. I said, oh, look at that. There's our upgrade. That's going to hit our solar system, going to hit our sun, and our sun is going to send it through its sun rays to us, hit our body. And voila. And I'll show you I'll send you the cosmic DNA. I think I sent it to you. Hello?
I'm sorry, what did you just say, Audrey?
Oh, I was just hearing something. I wasn't sure what I was hearing.
Oh, okay.
I was just talking about the cosmic DNA that's coming out of the middle of the Milky Way that no one talked about. When I saw it, I immediately said, is that our upgrade?
Ah.
It's just floored. They've never seen anything like it. It's coming from out of the center of the Milky Way galaxy. It's a long strand of DNA. And
wow.
2016, I was like, how long is it going to take it for it to reach the Earth?
Yeah, right. Like, come on with it. Let's get it.
I think it's giving us our, you know, our upgrade. So I'm happy about it.
Absolutely.
So let me see what else.
It's time. It's time. All right. Well, what we're gonna do, Audrey, did you have any other screens or anything you needed to share before we close out for today?
No, I don't.
No? Okay.
We've been on for 2 hours. I think that's good. I get to keep you guys' attention for that long. I appreciate it.
Look, girl, the topic is hot. It's hot. I love it. Like you said, we could go on and on, but we're going to get back on again, guys. So far, we've been going every 2 to 3 weeks, you know, so stay tuned. If you want to be, I'm going to put my email in the chat, and you guys copy it in there, because I have requested in the chat that everyone put their email and phone number and your name. A few people did answer. Thank you so much. I did get it. For those of you that have not, just copy down, where is it? Copy down my information, and I will get everyone's information and keep you updated on all the next the shows and calls and things like that. My email is tehillah3@yahoo.com. That's TEHILLAHP like Paul, the number 3@yahoo.com. So copy that down and just send me your name, your phone number and your email, and how you happen to be with us today if you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself. And we can all stay connected and let's keep this thing going, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Onique Oliver. Appreciate it. Check it down. Yeah, we had a wonderful time. Thank you guys so much. And if there is no further comments or anything else to share today, we're going to go ahead and close it down, and I will keep you guys. Oops, hold on a second. I'm trying to write and copy this. Copy this email down at the same time at Gmail. Okay. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget, go to audranite.com, get you that pyramid. And also drop something in her Cash App at Audranite777. $ AUDRANITE 777. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Great day to you as
Yes,
well.
thank you.
And we will be talking again soon. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes.